Good evening, good evening. Welcome to the VRML Pioneer Cup. Obviously the first of many tournaments hosted by VRML. This is day one, part two, as we did run into technical difficulties yesterday, unfortunately. But hey, we move on and persevere. That is how things are here. Today we'll have an amazing set of games over the course of the next, I believe, 4 or 5 hours. It's about to be 7 or 8 rounds of games here, so good amount of games. My name is Martini, and of course I have Gibble Bob and RetroCat in the casting booth with me. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, pretty good. Ready to see these NA teams just power through this cup today. It's gonna be a really great one, as it's gonna be great for the one that's just coming up, which is IVNA and Nova, which two great teams, I have to say.
Yeah, Martini, it's a bit of attempt number 2. Right. Yeah, we're on a bit of an experimental competitive 4v4 build, so obviously yesterday things didn't work out quite how we wanted them to, but you know, we're back here again today for attempt number 2, and we got the teams in. We should be ready to go in just a moment with this IV and Nova game. But hey, we had an incredible EU Pioneer Cup finals earlier today. Shout out to IVEU, the team that won that. We now have their NA counterpart. We'll see if they can manage to go just as far as the EU team. But it will be quite the battle of attrition. You know, it's 7 rounds, so 7 games for these teams to play. Each game is a best of 5. So the team has to win 3 rounds before they get the series win, and they can move on to the next in the series. But in any case, we're enough stalling. Martini, we're going to go ahead and get right into round number 1 between IVNA and Nova.
Yeah, already got Nova on the red here, and we have IVNA on the blue side here. Already ball getting forward here. Piggy's ball in hand, trying to move the ball forward and play into Nova's side. They go for the shot there, just missing a little bit there, but it does go for the second shot there. Does land at IVNA. Already starting off to a hot start here. 1 goal in hand.
Yeah, you love to see the aggression from Ivy. This is apparent in, I guess, every single one of their teams. They have the ability to go fast, to play fast, and to get in the face of their opponent. Mozzie with a great send to the other side of the arena. That is intercepted by Nemblex, though, from Nova. And it's going right over to Felix, their teammate. They lose control of it, however, and Nadash goes for the long shot. Nobody on the goal from Nova. Can they get that? Oh! No! It's a long shot for Ivy, but it goes in.
You know, we were talking about 4v4s, how it's not common to get these long shots, but when these teams play a little out of position, it doesn't always quite work out for them, and they do get those long shot potentials there, and it did work out for IVNA, as it looks like Nova already trying to make responses here. I gotta say, IVNA off to a very hot start, 2-0 already. We're barely about a minute into the round here, as it looks like Nova trying to get these tackles and moving the ball down the arena, trying to go in for the cross. Does get slightly cleared, but it looks like it's still very much on Ivy's side as they're trying to clear this one out here. Mozzie, ball in hand, trying to move it down the arena. Does get tackled, but it is gonna be on Nova's side at this point.
Nemblex with possession up in the sky. Good pass over to the right side of the arena, and Piggles is going to be the one to bounce it further. Battle in the corner. Nemblex with a tackle onto Piggles, and it gets the ball away from the goal. Sorry, I get a little lag on my end.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to go for the cross pass. Didn't quite connect, but Nadash able to still make that one work. Goes for the shot, and that's going to be another goal for the IVNA side here. Looking very good again for IVNA. 3 goals in already. You know, we're talking about potential mercy, considering how many goals they're getting uncontested at this point, because Nova still has not made a score.
Yeah, and it's a battle for control of the ball. Starkey 17 up in the sky. Gets the ball close to the corner. Nemblex is going to go and try and get possession of that. Off in the tables in middle. Piggles keeps the ball away from the IVNA goal. And there's still 3 minutes left on the clock. Nova's got time, but they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, not quite working out for them. And, 2 minutes left here. Shot coming out there from IVNA doesn't quite connect or bounce into one of the teammates' hands here, unfortunately, but still very much in play as it does get tackled out of their hands there, but it's still stuck on the little bridge side. I forgot the name of the geo. But the ball is now moving down here. Felix with the ball in hand, trying to get this potential passing option as they look around off a Halo here, trying to move it up. Felix going in, goes for the deep pass. Now Dash does read it and sends it, clears it to the other side now. Going to be fighting for possession here as Nova now having to fight against another potential scoring opportunity here.
Starkey doing an excellent job of getting the ball moving. We did see Nadash steal the ball from Big Cap OS, and Ivy with their 4th point. Round number 1 here, 2 more, and it's going to be a mercy.
We're back on it. Oh,
yeah, 4-0, looking really good right now for the IVNA players. I saw so many great names on the Nova side. I thought it would look a little different, but IVNA looking so good right now. I'm almost worried for their upcoming, tournament players because they might be able to kill them with this sort of momentum that they have going forward here. Felix able to get the ball in hand, goes in for the deep clear here, but it looks like it's going to be picked up by Mozzie in the back end there as they are fighting for it in a sewers at this point. As Nemble doing such a good job trying to keep the ball going for Venom, does read that pass, goes in for another pass to the teammate, but it does get misread unfortunately as it does get back cleared over to the Nova side as Big Kappa trying to get the ball around 2 attackers.
Look at the tackles coming out from Ivy. They're a team that loves to get aggressive with their opponent. Shot on goal, but it does not go through. Starkey's going to have a go, but Venom and Felix keeping it away, up in the air, and Felix might go for the pass onto their teammate. Nemblex out of position, and Ivy get control of the ball. It's going to bounce off the backboard. Nemblex manages to save it, keeps it in the field, albeit by the Nova goal, sends it over to their teammate, but it's intercepted by IVNA. It's going right back to the Nova goal.
Yeah, I got to talk about the aggression from the IVNA players. They're doing such a good job at keeping it on their possession and keeping it moving down on the Nova side. How much time has been spent on this Nova goal side as they keep trying to keep the ball out of there as it looks like time is running down here. So it's going to be 4-0 for the first round here by IVNA.
This incredible experience. This is
brilliant game in general. Gotta say, Ivy did do good to their EU counterparts. Not a lot of good defensive plays right there from IVI in general. Gotta say, Nova does need to work a little bit on their defensive play, but I think they do have that chemistry entirely. Nice reads going from the goals, just saving those left and right from those sides. Just a little bit more work on their defensive play that round, but overall, I think both teams did really good, and IVI did really great this round.
Yeah, 4-0 coming out from IVNA is, coming out guns blazing round 1. Was there anything that you saw stand out from the IVNA side?
The things that I thought that standed out was how they were passing, like where they needed to go. Like they're on point with that.
Right.
Just entirely. Like I said, great chemistry from both teams entirely, Martino.
Yeah, looks like round 2 already starting off. 2A start here. Looks like IVNA already having the possession in hand. They were so fast I couldn't even get it on camera. That's how fast they were getting these goals here. Come on, Bob. Already a goal on the board. It's only for 5-10 seconds into the round.
Yeah, Mozzie threaded the needle, got right into the goal for Nova, heading up top again. They do love their air balls up in the halo right now. It's going to be sent over to the other side of the map where Nadash is going to get control, but the shot on goal is blocked by Nova. Ivy scrambling to recover. They don't have anybody on their goal right now. Starkey chasing after, looking to get possession, send it back across the field towards their teammate, but Mozzie was a little bit out of position, does not manage to complete the pass. It's up in the air at the moment, held in the hands of Nemblex, who's taking it across the halo, might get a shot on goal here. No, they pass it instead to Venom, who goes back to Felix, but it's a bit of a scuffle. I think they passed it too many times there, and they hesitated the shot on goal.
Yeah, looks like a long shot coming out here from the IVNA side. Just a little too tall there. Couldn't follow up as they somehow missed that poacher's goal. I mean, come on, IVNA. They were so close to scoring this one. Didn't quite work out for them in the end. But still, again, very much in play, sending the passing option over to Mozzie here as they're looking for another passing option again. I think you're right. I think IVNA might be over-prioritizing these passing options because some of these players, the communication just isn't quite connecting, at least in this round, right? We're talking again, IVNA 4-0 in our previous round, but they did such a good job. It's looking a little different this time. I'm wondering if Nova took the time to really work things together and get that chemistry flowing. Otherwise, IV is kind of struggling right now.
Yeah, definitely not the most aggressive start we've seen from them. I think they had at least 3 points by this time in the first round, but it doesn't matter. Nadash, I think they heard you, Martini, because they scored the goal and put IV 2-0 in the lead.
Yeah, looking good right now for IVNA. As much as I was talking smack, I think
the end.
looks like they're already coming back. Never mind, they definitely heard our complaints and dare I say, Caster's, I guess, curse for the Nova side. As now 3-0. It's only 2.5 minutes into this round here. This is definitely looking more like the IVNA we had seen in the previous round, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think they just took a minute to. You gotta consider. They're going to be doing 7 games today. So you have to conserve some energy. Maybe at some points you need to play a little bit slower to just save some stamina because it is going to be a long evening of Orion Drift for these players. We'll do our best to get as much action as possible in this Pioneer Cup. We got a couple more streams up as well. Go ahead and take a look at what they're doing when we're done with this game over here. But in any case, IV send it right into the goal. That's Nadash again. IV 4-0. Well, Martini, any comments on how
I feel like maybe I was being too critical too as soon as this point. There's another potential shooting option happening here for IVNA again. I mean, 4-0. They still got 2 minutes left in the round. I'm a little nervous right now for the Nova players as it just scoots in again. It was at 5-0. As it's not looking really good right now for the Nova players. Nemlux moving down the arena here. Did it mercy on? Oh, okay. Looks like that's
it
going for.
Wasn't mercy, but time did expire. 5-0 for IV to take round number 2 in this best of 5.
Gotta say, IVI taking the W that round. Got to love that. Like I said, from the previous round, nice chemistry. They had a lot of that good airplay there, going straight from like the top of the rim of the goals and slamming that down. Really nice for both teams. But I still have a belief that Nova can take this back and brute force straight towards IVI's force and win a couple of games. That's my belief. I believe in both teams. I just hope to see it.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything particularly that you think Nova can work on to really focus on finally getting scores themselves, right? It's not just defense. They haven't scored either. That's something to really call out.
I think some of the things they do kind of need to work on as I was watching here is some of the reads during when they're going to slam into the goal, and I think they need to pressure a little bit more when it's coming to their side of the goal because I feel like IVI is just pushing them.
Martini, put the camera on.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I know what I'm doing, Bob. I was letting it roll. I got the camera on. Looks like IVNA already getting a score on the upcoming goal here. But no, RetroCat definitely making a good call out here. IVNA doing such a good job. Nova, we've seen some good plays, but again, their attacking potential just hasn't quite connected. Not sure if it's some miscommunication right now, but the teams are just chemistry not quite clicking here as Nebla's going in for the shot here. Does almost get into the hand of one of their teammates, but it doesn't quite work. Long shot coming out here, and again, this is something I worry about with Nova. It seems like their defensive play allows a lot of these long shots to really have a potential to start up here, which is crazy considering this is 4v4s. They get another goal in the hand here from IVNA, and again, just hot off the presses here. IVNA is not letting Nova breathe.
Back to the action.
I can see it here, right? I can see the potential with Nova as a team. Not the best, because again, they just might need a little bit more time to work on their team play and skill, especially defense. They're leaving the goal quite open, and that's something that you'll see experienced teams do. They'll have somebody playing towards the back so that they can always be by the goal when they need to be. You don't want to let a long shot get in there. You don't want somebody from IV to quickly, thread the needle through the arena. Good pass by Big Cap West, but it is denied by IV. You also have to remember, Martini, that they're going up against IV, which is a good team. We could very much see IV going into next weekend's round robin or single elimination tournament. So I don't think Nova I don't think they're a bad team by any means, but they could use a little bit more practice. Right now, IV has definitely got them on the ropes, and it's another 4.
And that's, oh my.
Yeah, I mean, IVNA, talk about cooking, because they're definitely looking like chefs in the kitchen here. And you're right. As much as I want to be critical sometimes towards the Nova team, this is also IVNA. It's not a team that you can play with little experience. You need to come in with as much experience with them, if not more, in order to really score against them. As IVNA getting such good potential shooting options here. It looks like Pickles gets the shot on goal there, and it's another point on the board for IVNA. 5-0. We're looking at a potential, mercy plays at this point.
Yeah, Nova's in trouble. This is their last chance against IV. Piggles with possession. Nobody on the goal. And it's about to go in. But Felix, so goal. And that's it. That's all they wrote. It's going to be IV taking the win over Nova in this first round of the Swiss tournament.
Have to love it, folks. IVI taking the W. But not just any W, a mercy there in that last round. Gotta say that was pretty great. Like Martini was saying earlier, that when you are going against these teams, you don't want to have that low experience while playing in this game. But Nova, I do believe in Nova as a team. And I feel like if they do keep practicing and get a little bit more farther in this tournament, I feel like they can have a good chance of rematching IVI once again.
Yeah, definitely a challenging matchup for Nova, right? IVNA having so much experience and chemistry, really. We saw them score, I think, right off the rip, 5 seconds. I think it's like round 2. It was so fast. I was still transitioning to showcase the game, and they had already scored. I'm like, hold up. Can we slow down? Can we slow down so I can see what is going on here? But, so much credit to the IVNA players, and honestly, so much credit to Nova for trying their best to play against IVNA. And but unfortunately, IVNA just performed so well in this game here. But anyways, that will be our first matchup today. I will send us to a quick ad break, and hopefully we'll see y'all in a second as we figure out if we pick up another game, and or we'll see y'all for the next set of games here.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce?
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce?
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match phase. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce?
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match phase. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce?
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody reinforce?
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Okay,
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. And somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point.
Welcome back, welcome back. I know it was a little bit of a long wait, but hey, that is how tournament days go, and we persevere and move on. I feel like that's kind of the wording I'm using a lot for these tournament days. But we'll be casting Vicious versus Sleepy. Looks like they're coming into the upcoming game here. But before we get in, any further, I did want to give some shout outs to some of our sponsors here. Another Axiom, one of my personal favorite sponsors, for providing us with the game we love. And of course, for supporting the upcoming tournaments for VRML. And of course, if you have not been paying attention, don't forget VRML Con is 2025 has been confirmed for Phoenix, Arizona. So if you'd like to meet all of us in person, potentially, I don't know if RetroCat's going, or join any of the tournaments, head online to the VRML Con website and make sure to grab your tickets. And it looks like these games are actually going to be getting started pretty soon here as we go right into round 1 here already.
Condog, one of the Vicious players up at the top, passes to Sweet Tooth 77, and the ball in a bit of turmoil in the middle. Fast brings it over to the table, somehow survived 2 tackles from Vicious. The third one gets them, and it's back across center court. Possession retrieved by Sleepy, but Condog brings it through the center. That might go in. It will not go in. It gets tapped in by Matthew. And Vicious will take the first point of this game.
Yeah, already off to a good start here from the Vicious players, as Sleepy going to be responding pretty soon. Oh, sorry, is it Vicious on red or blue?
It is Vicious on blue.
Oops, let me swap that real quick.
And it's in. That is how you play drip ball.
Good score from Vicious, I believe. Yeah.
Was that?
A good score.
Was it not red?
No, okay, yeah, I think it is 1-1. I think it is 1-1.
All right, sorry, y'all. We're getting a little started. It's tournaments. We're still experimenting everything, right?
In any case, here we are. Ball sent right across the field. Vicious and Sleepy both heading to retrieve it. Condog going for that shot on goal. Josh Pizza with a beautiful block, playing the defensive game. Pass to Sweet Tooth 77, who's on the bridge right now. Gonna pass it across the field to Condog, who sends it up into the ceiling. Now over to Matthew, looking for the shot on goal. Kotetsa strikes it back into the corner. But so far, we're in a bit of a scuffle, and there's no clear winner.
Yeah, they try to go in for that clear, maybe get that passing option to their teammate. Unfortunately, didn't quite connect with anyone, as Sweet Tooth just missing their hand on the ball. Kotetsu trying to keep the ball in play as it goes off the backboard here. Sweet Tooth does call it, goes for another backboard here. Kotetsu trying to go in for a good carve there, but it does get tackled, unfortunately, but still very much in play by the Vicious players. Condog going off the top here as they go for another deep pass, and it just misses the hands of Kotetsu there as it does fly right over the lone death. They go in for the long shot here, but they do see Condog on the back end there, goes for the interception, goes for another pass themselves, clearing up a K-Master there to read that, going up the arena as they go in for a pass. And I mean, talk about so much possession turning over for both of these teams here, Bob.
Sweet Tooth 77 up in the sky with possession of the ball. They got launched by their teammate. Good re-grabbing heading over there, but Sleepy with some nice tackles. They're playing aggressive. They're really meeting the force of Vicious head on, which is quite impressive to see. Cave Master bringing it over towards the Vicious goal. And Kotetsa with possession. It's back over into the hands of Fast, heading over towards the Sleepy goal. Can Vicious get it in? We'll see. It's past the Condog, who goes for the spike. Doesn't go in. Cave Master sends it back across the arena to Sweet Tooth. Intercepted by Vicious, and it's heading right back to Sleepy's side.
Yeah, Sweet Tooth moving up the arena here, going in for potential passing option. Does get intercepted by the Sleepy defense here, as they are trying their best here. Matthew does see the open goal, takes a shot, goes just a little wide here, but Sweet Tooth here for the follow-up, goes in for another shot, and Matthew able to make up for the mistake that they just had earlier there. Vicious now up 2-1 right now. This is a very tight game right between these two teams. 2-1, minute left on the clock. They can go potentially for overtime here.
Sweet Tooth and Matthew, really the lethal combination, tapping it in, but there is Josh Pizza ready to bring it right back for Sleepy. You love to see a competitive game here between these two teams. Matthew looks to bring it back through to center, up to Kotetsu in the halo, who may pass it back to their teammate, but they get tackled, and the ball is in control by right now Sleepy, but bounces back between the two teams as we go above the sewer, center court. Lone Death bringing it over to the goal of Vicious, but it's in the hands of Cave Master at the moment. Back up into the air we go.
Yeah,
Lone
looks like
Death
it
with a
does go
shot.
for the yeah, he goes for the tackle there. Sleepy able to get that shot on goal. I mean, that was all out mayhem at this point. Vicious trying to respond very much in kind here with this re-grab going beautifully all the way to the other side of the arena. But as I say that, it gets sent back to the Vicious side, and this is going to be a Vicious potential goal coming out here from a Sleepy, which will be interesting here as they do keep ball possession at this point. Cave Master looking for some potential passing option. No, decides to go in, sends the goal in on them, and talk about beautiful game here coming out from these Sleepy players.
4-2. Vicious is having a pretty rough start. And now, admittedly, Vicious is the team that I knew heading into this, and I knew Vicious was good, but Sleepy's pleasantly surprised me. Their players are doing an excellent job of playing aggressive and really threading the needle of the Vicious defense. We'll see if they can really keep up this performance, but that is actually the end of the first round. They're Sleepy taking it. Retro, what are your thoughts?
I gotta say, Sleepy was not sleeping this game. Brilliant, just brilliant defense from other sides. Take a note, Sweet Tooth with the MVP of just being that defensive play right there, just knocking those goals on that Vicious side. But on Sleepy's team, some nice scores from Josh Pizza. Just overall, just back and forth here. But Sleepy does take that W for that first round. Good offensive play from both teams, but also really good defensive play. See, both teams do have managed both skill levels. They're like at a same amount of the skill level. So pretty fair game. But we are about to go into the second game soon.
Yeah, I mean, round 2 coming up here pretty soon. Sleepy already up 1 point here as the clock does get started. And it looks like this is already on the side, but it does go for a Cave Master. They take the long shot there. That's going to be a wide open goal that they just missed. And that's going to be an opportunity lost. And I will be kicking myself later about that if I were them. As it looks like Vicious already having the ball back on their side here. Kotetsu moving up here. Looking for Matthew on the backboard there. They get that passing option. Takes a spike. Just unfortunately goes a little too wide here. That's something I've noticed from both teams. The accuracy for these shots just isn't quite working out as the ball is going to roll right in. And that's what we're talking about when you got to be careful with those long shots here. I mean, that is unfortunate for the Vicious players.
What an incredible hit
From Sleepy. Vicious in a lot of trouble so far. They've got some work to do. Fast up in the sky, taking the ball just under Halo. They managed to get control back despite being tackled by 2 players. Matthew brings it down center court right under the nest and is going to try and get one in on the goal. Where are their teammates right now? They're double teamed by Sleepy. Fast again getting possession of the ball. Nice ceiling carve that's going to bring them through the arena, playing up on the Halo Geo. And it's across the map to their teammate Josh Pizza. Shot on goal, and it almost goes in. It does go in for Sleepy. They're 2-0 up on Vicious.
Yeah, looking great right now for the Sleepy, whatever you want to say, team here. 2-0. And this is something we kind of didn't quite see in the previous game, right? We saw Vicious a little bit better on that defense and better on the offense, right? We saw a couple more goals coming out from here. Vicious looking a little bit rough for wear, honestly, against the Sleepy players. They're playing such a good game here as the tackling does send the ball out of their side of the arena. Matthew going for the ceiling carve here, looking for potential passing options. Sends it over to Sweet Tooth. That's another passing option. Goes right into Cadessa's hand. And talk about Vicious finally responding in kind to the 2-0 lead that Sleepy originally had here.
They put some points on the board. That's good for Vicious. Question is, can they defend against the onslaught from Sleepy? The ball got quite close to the Vicious goal, but it's across the court once more.
Yeah, it looks like the Vicious players are going to be fighting against this possession by Josh Pizza as they are cooking. Moving up the arena here, and they go in for the backboard, able to finish that one up and give Sleepy another goal in the pocket here. Sweet Tooth now following up for this QB, trying to see how they can keep this going. Again, Vicious now still down by their 2-0, not 2-0, but 3-1 disadvantage with the 2 goal. Never mind, as I say that, Vicious decides we're going to send another goal in here. And this is definitely a contested game at this point. We're talking 1 point difference between these two teams.
They're not wasting any time.
You gotta wonder where. I was wondering where the defense was from Vicious, because their goal is quite under-defended and sometimes even open for Sleepy to just walk right in and get that goal. There's a lot of pressure on their goal line right now. Lone Death, Kotetsu, everybody's really on the side of Vicious at the moment, but the ball does get kicked to the Sleepy goal. Can Kotetsu pull off the shot? No, it bounces off of the nest, off the backboard, and deflected by Josh Pizza. Good defense.
Yeah, Kotetsu trying to send the ball in for potential passing option. Does get intercepted by the Sleepy defense here. As Sleepy, again, trying to keep the ball out of their side of the arena, but Vicious is saying no to that as they keep the ball. Matthew, ball in hand, looking for another passing option. Sends it over to Condog. Fortunately, never mind. That's a reset back to Kotetsu. They do follow up here, but they get tackled. Can Matthew follow up? No, Sweet Tooth follows up here, going in for the potential spike here. And they do get the shot here. That's going to be Vicious equalizing the difference here.
It's coming down to the final point as we get towards the end of this round. Lone Death going for a dive deep into the goal line of Vicious. Pass back over to Cave Master. It's almost in, but nice block from Vicious will keep them tied just a little bit longer. Condog taking to the skies, knocking the ball into the hands of Fast Cave Master, and they really took a lot of effort to stop the momentum of that ball. But look, Josh Pizza's there. They're going for the shot on goal. Sweet Tooth can't get there in time. Another incredible shot from Sleepy.
Yeah, looks like Vicious trying to respond very much in kind here. Sweet Tooth moving up the front door area. It sends the passing option forward. Never mind, it's a cell pass actually. It takes the shot there. Does go a little too wide there, unfortunately, as none of the teammates able to come in and help that out. Fast going in for the deeper clear. Does get caught up, unfortunately, by the Vicious side, but looks like Sleepy does get the hand back on the ball here. Lone Death sending it over to Josh Pizza. They do receive that pass, and they decide to go in. There's a wide open goal, as it looks like Sleepy gets another goal in the pocket here. I mean, what is going on here? They're kind of giving wide open goals at this point to the Sleepy players.
What a reminder of the beautiful unity that...
Gotta say, that was a brilliant round there, Martini. Just great plays from both of the teams.
I'm good, Mom.
Just
I'm good.
Really
Please
punishing them.
close the door.
There, right there. Gotta say,
Mom, I'm doing the thing.
I think,
I'm doing the thing. Can you close the door?
Vicious did really improve on their offensive play. I don't know if you guys really caught that there, but just from both teams entirely, that was just really great. Great offensive play from Sleepy there. Really not sleeping on that there. But yeah, both teams did really incredible for this round, and that's all I really have to say.
I gotta say, Martini, I was a little bit underwhelmed by some of the defense that we were seeing from Vicious, right? It seemed like their goal was probably a little too open, and Sleepy got a number of really good shots just carrying the ball and getting there before anybody from Vicious could defend.
You know, I'm wondering what's going on with the Vicious side, right? They have these goals in hand, but I think it's been time and time again where I see them have wide open goals. They're able to make something happen here for the Sleepy players, unfortunately. But it looks like we are coming into this upcoming round 3 pretty soon here. Vicious has to respond here, otherwise this will be the end of the series for them if Sleepy can get another round in pocket here.
Up to Sweet Tooth, who's going to go for the early goal. Nice tackle from Cave Master. Saved their team from the goal, and Fast is going for it right down the middle. A shot. Oh my goodness, they did it again. Where is the defense from Vicious?
Yeah, this response by the Sleepy players, just so much aggression, so much speed coming out from them. Vicious is not able to respond, and that defense is just not modifying fast enough. Condog finally getting the shot back there. I think the goalie went a little too far in the goal arena there, unfortunately. But hey, this is probably the closest we've seen these two teams at this point. 1-1. Vicious needs to respond a little bit better because they want to keep themselves in the game here. Again, this is best of 5, so first team to get 3 wins in their particular series will win out that set of games.
Bounce back to Josh Pizza, playing in a very good position. I gotta say, the positioning from Sleepy has been great. They're really able to get into spots that allow them to capitalize off of the ball movement, and we saw a little scuffle outside of the goal for Vicious, but Sleepy have to contend with Kotetsa, who's moving it back down the field. Nice tackle and steal from Josh Pizza. The speed on Sleepy is insane. Their players just hoof it right down to the goal. It's blocked by Sweet Tooth, though, and we're still going to remain tied.
It looks like Sweet Tooth gonna be able to leech and steal that. They almost take the shot, but just miss that. That's vicious. You can't be missing those kind of goals here. We've seen them miss, I think, 2 or 3 solid goal scoring opportunities, but it doesn't matter as Kotetsa decides to shove me up there with a goal in hand.
Don't count Vicious out yet. They're doing pretty well themselves. It's just that their defense leaves their goal open. Probably a little more than I would like, but then again, I can't really get a goal. So, you have to remember that these teams, what they're doing right now is incredibly technically difficult. Look at that! Oh my goodness, another one from Sleepy. Up in the sky this time, long shots, and once more, we're seeing Vicious really suffer from not keeping their goal well defended.
Yeah, it keeps happening time and time again here. Luckily, this round, they are able to keep those goal-scoring opportunities up here as Matthew does send that ball over to Sweet Tooth, does connect. They go for the back to Nest here. Condog takes a shot, but unfortunately does get caught out by all the goalies and defenders there as Condog still has the ball in hand, goes for the potential passing option, goes a little too wide, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. Contessa able to keep the ball in a play at this point as they move it down to the arena looking for another potential passing option, but it does keep getting caught up here. That's a long shot there, but Condog now on the back here. You know, this defense finally looking a lot better from the Vicious players, and look at the goal score difference here. It's really keeping them in the game at this point, 2-2, right?
This has got to be some of the most accurate tackling I've ever seen. Sleepy is able to deny shot after shot. Condog pulls off these legendary spikes, but they're getting shut down every single time they go for it in this game by members of Sleepy, just with these insane air tackles. Right. It's not easy to do, and right now it's really playing in favor of Sleepy. Do they have Sweet Tooth back at the goal? They do. And it's a shot on goal. It almost goes in fast right at the goal line. But Vicious managed to keep it away. However, time is quickly ticking down. They're going to have to go and apply a little bit more pressure onto Sleepy. Yeah, this re-grabbing is getting them down the arena. Does get tackled there here, but Condog still has the ball in hand as Sweet Tooth follows up on top of that. Going off the backboard at this point, sends it back to their teammate Kotetsa. Can they keep the ball in possession? Sends it over to Matthew, but it does get caught up. They try to shoot it, but I think it gets caught on one of their teammates' head. That is unfortunate as it gets cleared over to the Vicious side here. But hey, those defenders are back in tow at this point. Condog saying, no, let's send it all the way back to the Sleepy side as they are moving it down, but it does get caught up in this midfield at this point. But Sweet Tooth luckily able to follow up and keep the ball very much in play for the Vicious players as they are trying to get around these defenders here, but it does get intercepted, unfortunately. It looks like Lone Death going in for the deep clear. There it goes past one hand, but Condog there for the follow-up as they are trying to go for the carve. Goes in for the dribble, sends it back into the air. Sweet Tooth able to follow it up, but that spike is not going to connect at the way they wanted it as it gets, again, cleared to the Vicious side. This is the longest I think we've seen these two teams play without any goal happening. Literally every shot that Vicious is trying to pull off, every single spike is getting shut down immediately by Sleepy. Fast almost gets the ball, but was just slightly out of position, and it's going right through the middle. There's nobody on Sleepy this time. This could be Matthew's chance. They're gonna go for it. Goal for Vicious. And now Sleepy are in a little bit of trouble. We might see an overtime on our hands if nobody scores soon. Yeah, they got to score soon here. Otherwise, Sleepy will be potentially fighting this one out. It does get spiked down, and that's the way to do it is Vicious able to clutch up their first win in this series. Nice for Vicious.
Gotta say, Vicious was really vicious that game. But, yeah, both teams did really great, but like I said, their offense on Sleepy was just on point with their chemistry, but just Vicious swooping in at the end with this W is just really incredible here for that team. I gotta say, if they're gonna go into more of the other rounds coming up, I'd say they would have to work on their defensive play more, maybe stay a little bit back, then more push forward, maybe have one person stay back here. But I gotta say, W round from Vicious. Hope to see more wins from them coming up here, folks.
Yeah, I mean, this series was almost about to end here, right? Sleepy having 2 rounds in the pocket here at this point against Vicious, but Vicious finally responding to them taking that last round there. That's going to be a big win for the Vicious players. But hey, they are fighting an uphill battle at this one because Vicious themselves need to win the next 2 games to win out the series. Otherwise, Sleepy just needs to win 1 more.
Yeah, it's all coming down to this. Whether or not Sleepy can continue to maintain momentum as we get started with round number 3 in this series. Sweet Tooth taking the early momentum with the ball, but it's quickly lost to Sleepy. Bit of a tussle. Lone Death strikes it back out. Cave Master looks to collect possession, but it doesn't happen. Instead, getting bounced over to Fast, who manages to send it back, but right in the hands of Condog. Vicious looking to apply early pressure, might try and snowball a couple of goals here. Can they deny the spike from Condog? It's sent over to Sweet Tooth, and great shot. Vicious take the first point.
I mean, beautiful passing opportunities here that are connecting for the Vicious players. This is the offense I want to see from Vicious. Actually good, accurate passes that are connecting at this point. Sleepy trying to respond themselves to this by sending it over to Fast here. They go in for the follow-up. They just missed that last passing opportunity. One of those moments where you got to really keep your heads up and make sure you're communicating with your team. A long shot going in there by the Vicious players, but it does get intercepted by Fast here. But Condog coming in with the speed there in order to get that tackle off hand. Lone Death now facing this 1v1 in this sewers, trying to get around to the defender here. Takes another defender out here, and it looks like the ball still very much in play for the Sleepy players here, but it looks like Vicious is able to steal that, intercept it, and move it down the arena here. Sweet Tooth now coming off a halo at this point, looking for a potential passing option, decides to get tackled, never mind. Fast able to get that ball in hand as they go in for the deep clear into the Vicious midfield here, but Condog here for the follow-up.
Condog gets it back, goes for the shot, there it is! They get another one onto Sleepy this time. I wonder if maybe Sleepy is starting to get a little bit tired in this matchup. It has been quite an aggressive battle, but really I think what we need to see is more tackles coming out again from Sleepy. There. Oh no, there's a shot on goal and it might go right in. It is protected by Matthew. And now we're seeing Vicious really reverse exactly what Sleepy did. Sleepy's not leaving their goal very well defended, and Vicious are using that to their advantage.
This momentum coming out from the the Vicious players. I'm so sorry, I got distracted from the last couple rounds here, but talk about switch up, right? You mentioned the switch up with the Vicious players. This play style is really coming ahead for the Vicious players. Are they coming in for the goal here? Can they take the shot? They do. Sweet Tooth now getting another point on the board here. Talk about crazy momentum. Vicious is coming in with very vicious goals left and right at this point. I'm almost inclined to say, Bob, we might be seeing a potential round 5 here.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself, Martini. It can change at any moment. Cast is curse. Look at this Cave Master up top, passing it to Josh Pizza. They're tackled. Another great shutdown by Vicious. It's sent back up into the sky. And who is going to be the one to get it first? Lone Death misses it. It's tossed back out to Fast. Takes it through the sewers. Going Fast on the goal. It's in the name, but it's blocked. It's off the backboard, and Fast has to try again.
Yeah, looks like they are going to be resetting to their teammates in the back there. Does unfortunately get intercepted by the Vicious players. They send that long shot. There's somehow an open goal, but Matthew could not follow that up, unfortunately. A little bit of miscommunication coming out from the Vicious players as it's back into the Vicious defensive side. But Condog able to get this interception. Takes a long shot again. Can they get this one in here? No, Fast is on the back burner there. Able to come in and save that goal from happening. But it's still, again, very much in play right now for the Vicious players. Never mind, as I say that, Game Master able to get the ball in hand and is moving down the arena, but I mean, this possession just keeps turning over and over and over at this point.
Low Death, bringing it up through the halo, passes it to Josh Pizza, but Condog intercepts, and Vicious now have it back on their side. Shot on goal by Sweet Tooth, it makes it in.
Go!
Vicious is, I mean, this is almost seeing like a different team. Night and day, 5-0 at this point. I don't know, Bob, you say Caster's curse, but I think the mathematical time might be coming up here because 5 goals is a little bit hard for the Sleepy players to make it. It's a deep, long shot, and it does get in. And I mean, Vicious is looking very much in form right now.
Holy Martini! What did we just watch here? Vicious just coming back, just just with that mercy right there, really stepping on that offensive play, knocking goals left and right, going, no, you're not going to score in our goal. Just throwing in long shots. Great chemistry. Gotta say, we are going into round 5, but I think Sleepy could compress the other team and they could take the victory. But I don't know here, folks, because it looks like Vicious is starting to lock in here. Martini, what is your thoughts on that round? That was brilliant.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing this momentum switch up come up, right? We saw 4-2 in round 1, 5-3 in round 2, and now we're seeing 3-2 coming out from Vicious on that last round, and then now 6-0. I mean, talk about heating up here from the Vicious players. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw another win come out from Vicious, because Sleepy, it feels like the pressure coming out from Vicious is starting to break them down. We're seeing them mess up some of these defensive plays. It's not working quite well for them, and I'm kind of worried for them in this upcoming round, but hey, they did have a minute to kind of take a breather. Hopefully we can see something come out here, as we are going to be running right into round 5 here. Again, this is the last round with these two teams, both teams. This is the tiebreaker round at this point, Bob.
It's all coming down to this. Both teams have a round under their belt. Tiebreaker time. We'll see Condog up in the sky. Sends it back across the arena to Lone Death, who's losing it on bridge. Matthew sends it back across to the Sleepy goal. This is Sleepy's last chance to get ahead of Vicious. Josh Pizza picking up the ball. It's bumped into the wall a little bit. Tossed up to Bird. Bird losing control, though, in center court. And they're now tossing it over. Nobody was open, though, and Lone Death misses the ball. It's now in the hands of Vicious.
Yeah, Condog goes in for the interceptions, and talk about beautiful interceptions coming out from the Vicious players. I've seen them time and time again get the tackles and be able to convert that possession over to their teammates at this point. Sweet Tooth holding that possession as they send it over to Katetsa, pulling out one of the defenders here. Can they capitalize on this attack here, as Matthew just misses the ball in hand, as that accuracy unfortunately was not able to connect for them here, but they do very much keep the ball in possession, as Condog able to get the shot open, and that's a wide open goal, but they couldn't follow up here, as Josh Pizza goes in for that deep clear at this point, and it looks like again Sweet Tooth able to come back and keep the possession very much on the Sleepy side at this point.
Denied again by Sleepy, though. Josh Pizza looking to get control. A couple of players battling for control of the ball, and Sweet Tooth will spike it back down to the ground where Lone Death collects it, sends it into the bunker, and Kotetsa will emerge victorious in the battle. Can they get the goal? No, it's blocked again by Sleepy. Kotetsa with the rebound, trying again. Pass over to Matthew, pass back to Condog. Oh no, they're out of position, and now the ball's heading way back over to the Vicious side. Will Sleepy start mounting some pressure here? No, Condog sends it back across the field over to Matthew, who's sending it right back to Sweet Tooth. This could be the shot on goal we were expecting. It is, and it's in. Vicious take the first point.
You know, I got to really give a shout out to the Vicious players. I've seen them time and time again really prioritize possession, and that's a big deal in a game like this, right? If you can hold the possession, keep the ball very much in play for yourself here, you're just bound to get a goal here, and that's what we saw from Vicious time and time again. They couldn't get the score, it didn't quite work out, but they were able to keep that possession on their side and keep hammering that Sleepy defense here, and it definitely paid out for them. Finally, it took 2.5 minutes, but hey, they got their first goal on the board here, and that's gonna be better for the Vicious players, because again, this is the tiebreaker round. They're gonna want to win this one out and win out the series.
Into the nest we go, and Bird collects. We now need to see Vicious get something on the board here fairly soon, or else they're going to be in trouble. Bird bringing it across, tackled by Matthew. Ball possession lost, but it's over on the Sleepy goal again, and they're just feeling the pressure from Vicious. Almost goes in, fast denies it though. Good goalie work from Sleepy. Can they keep control over this? Fast heading up again once more, tossed over to Josh Pizza. They maintain control. No, they lose it, and Condog taps the ball. It might go right back in the hands of Vicious. It does. Condog sending it over to the Sleepy goal, but it hits the rim, and it's now back in sewers. Kotetsa bringing it close to the Sleepy goal. Where are the tackles coming in from Sleepy? Lone Death and Josh Pizza trying to keep the ball in play, and it's back over on the Vicious side.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, just so much contested possession at this point. Bird able to follow up and get that interception here, looking to move the ball down the arena here as they're trying to figure out how to send this forward. They do try to send it over to Lone Death. Unfortunately, get tackled, and it does get into the hands of now the Vicious players. But again, it's still very much on their goal here as they go for that deep clear here, but no one to be on the receiving end besides these sleepy players as Bird are trying to follow up here, going up on top of Shoulder. I think I forgot the Geo name, but anyways, Josh Pizza able to keep the ball in possession for themselves as they are moving down the arena, sends it over to Fast here. They do receive it, but I'm waiting to see what's going to happen here as they send it back to Lone Death here.
And Lone Death, unfortunately, triple teamed by Vicious. Josh Pizza, tackled by Katetsa. And now Vicious really have a lot of momentum on Sleepy. Fast gets it back, tosses it up into the air. Condog's going to reach it first. We might see a spike across to Sweet Tooth. Almost gets it in. It's denied, though. Sweet Tooth goes for the goal. It's almost in again, but it's blocked by Sleepy. Josh Pizza, this is their chance to get it back across the map, but intercepted by Vicious again, sent across to the corner. Who's going to get control of the ball? We're running out of time. Josh Pizza now has it. They're sending it down through center court. Tables now on to Halo, but Josh Pizza loses it. Lone Death now has the shot, but they're tackled by Condog. And Sleepy in trouble. No, they don't get it. And Vicious with an incredible comeback.
Wow, 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 Bob and Martini. Looks like Vicious is just going to wake us up there with that W. That game was extremely back and forth there. Good plays from Sweet Tooth, like I said, blocking the ball. Good plays from Josh Pizza, just going up. Just both teams have that chemistry, and I feel like both teams are going to get far, but both those teams did have the same amount of skill level. Vicious did amazing. So did Sleepy. Love both of those teams. Yeah, gotta love it, guys. Gotta love it.
I mean, definitely crazy, right, in terms of series. I think this is the first cast I've done in this tournament where I've gone all 5 rounds, right? We saw Sleepy do such a good opening. 2 wins in a row, but Vicious finally responding, 2 rounds in a row themselves here. And a very definitive one in the previous one, right? Round 4 there, we saw 6-0. That was, night and day. I don't know what happened with the Vicious side. I'm not sure if they just locked in for that round and got that mercy, I believe. And I mean, that last round though, it was so contested, right? 1-0 for Vicious and Sleepy. It got down to the wire because Sleepy at that point, they could have gone in for that last goal and forced this into an overtime here. And this would have been one of my first couple of overtimes for Cass. And just a beautiful, beautiful game, honestly, coming out from both these teams. So definitely shout out to Sleepy, shout out to Vicious for providing us with I think one of my best games I've seen thus far on this cast. And we were talking about S-tier goals earlier in the waiting room. I definitely think I saw a couple S-tier goals in that previous game here.
I saw some amazing S-tier goals, and I just can't wait because we're only on round 2. But speaking of round 2, it should be concluding very soon. We'll pop back. Unfortunately, we don't have anything else going on in our arena right now, but we will be back with more round 3 action. So don't go anywhere. If you're interested in watching some more amazing Orion Drift VRML games, go ahead and check out stream B and the main stream as well. One of them surely has a game up right now. But go ahead.
Well, I don't know. We did 5 rounds here. We did 5 rounds here. I wouldn't be shocked if we're kind of towards the later.
We went the distance. But in case we're down here, go ahead and see what the other channels have in store as well. And if you want more Orion Drift action in the future, go ahead and click that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications so you never miss the next time we do some crazy Orion Drift content. Till then, don't go anywhere. We will be back soon.
Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2 wow.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2K.
Match point. Prepare to
Only
start.
Baron left alive. Where is Baron? In the spawn. Can somebody
Go.
Spud in the bottom going absolutely crazy, getting the 2-way.
Match point.
Hey everybody, welcome back, and we have an unfortunate little announcement to make here. Due to the size of the NA tournament, we've encountered some extreme technical issues on our end, and we just won't be able to continue the rest of the tournament for today. We've got some issues. Our team is actively working on some solutions, and if we do have the ability to reschedule the tournament at a later point, we will do so. But currently, for today, that is going to be, unfortunately, the end of the NA Pioneer Cup. Thank you so much for joining us, and we certainly got a lot of incredible action. But yeah, it's the Pioneer Cup, first one of these that we've done. And it's very experimental, so unfortunately it didn't work out this time, but we will see if we can reschedule the tournament at a later point. But until then, I'm Gibular Bob, my wonderful host Martini, RetroCat Rydell, our analyst. We'll catch you all in the next cast. Have a fantastic rest of your night, everybody.
Orion Drift VRML is brought to you by Another Axiom, Helga, the esports manager. Thanks for watching VRML.